Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way. And this is the TNE Creator Series V60. So, let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way. First of all, also big thanks to TNE for sending me over this scooter for testing purposes. And whilst this is not a paid review, they sent me out this unit for free, and it is for me to keep. So that is just something to keep in mind for you guys. Ooh, snow clouds are coming, but yeah, we have still a review to do. So TNE, if you never heard of this company before, is of course a Chinese company that is manufacturing scooters, and the V60 series is their newest scooter in the lineup. And they specifically told me that it's the V60 new model with improved stuff, since they told that the first one had some issues. So this is the newest of the newest at TNE. And I gotta tell you, I've been using it for a couple weeks already, and I've been actually really enjoying it. So this scooter is something in between like a Wolf Warrior and a Zero 10X 52 volt. Since I would actually put it in a very similar category as the newest VSETT lineup. And whilst they're aiming for a cheaper budget, a cheaper price than the Zero, I think this is actually better than a Zero. And let me explain. So the motors here are 2 times 1200 watts, and this is the nominal power, 1800 watts peak. So we have a total power of around 3.6 kilowatts. But what does this mean? This scooter is pretty quick, like it's really enjoyable. The acceleration is noticeably better than a Zero. I would put it very close to the VSETT 10 Plus. But first let me show you the acceleration times. So I did a couple of acceleration runs on the scooter. This one is with headwind, and it's just pretty quick. It's faster than the Zero 10X, but still slower than a VSETT. You'll see comparisons really shortly. But what I really like about the scooter is how it delivers this power. And even in max settings, it's still very, very manageable. You have a good stance with your foot resting against the footrest. The handlebar is on a nice height, and the throttle response is just set really nicely. It doesn't throw you off. It doesn't like give you this 1-0 on or off throttle you get in other scooters. It's really gradual, and you can even get a nice experience when riding a bit slower. Also, when you have a low battery, it will decrease the power output, so it won't turn off on you like so many other scooters. When it comes to the top speed, it's usually from 63 to even 68 when you duck down, and even at the speed it's pretty planted. I really like the geometry. However, sometimes the suspension mechanism vibrates a bit, and I'll move on to that a bit later. So the Creator V60 definitely wouldn't hold up traffic in a car lane, and it's still pretty comfy on a bicycle path. And when it comes to hill climbing, this 25-degree hill was no issue for the Creator. But this 30-degree hill was also no issue for the Creator. And tell you what, I've had so many scooters fail on this incline, included the Wolf Warrior 11 Plus and the Zero 10X, that achieving this result in top speed and hill climbing is pretty impressive. 30 degrees. Made it. When it comes to the variants of the scooter, there's several battery options. You can have a 52 volt version with a bit less power but more range. My version is a 52 volt 21 amp hour. I think it's written somewhere, but there's too much mud. The range here that I got on this scooter with pretty regular to fast riding was around 40 kilometers. I think it's a very good result. Probably if you would be going slower, you would have a bigger range, as you'd expect naturally. But there's also a beefier version, 60 volt and 28 amp hours, which would have a much bigger range than this one. When it comes to the charging times, you have 2 charge ports on the top. I wouldn't say it's the best location for them. I stepped on them quite a bit actually, as well as my friends. But here we have 2 charge ports. Standard charging time is around this, and with 2 chargers it's half of that. It's pretty cool actually. The tires on the scooter are also really nice. 10-inch tires with really thick thread, so even going through some light off-roading, you'll get much more grip than with tires that have a lesser thread. And it's, yeah, just started raining. But yeah, we have to keep on going. And on the topic of rain, this scooter is, as they say in the instruction manual, rain resistant for light rain, but if you have heavier rain, then you shouldn't ride it then. And now I look like a babushka because I want to be a bit more dry. So they actually advise you not to ride through heavy rain and through puddles in the instruction manual. I didn't have any issues with that, but probably this is something that you would see over a longer period of time. This scooter doesn't have that many miles on it, just a bit over 100 kilometers. But this mudguard, although it looks really cool, and this mudguard is definitely not enough. Like, the scooter looks really dirty after a ride, and this sort of like front handlebar design stem was like almost like a dirt shield in the front, which was pretty cool, but I think that's not the purpose of it. Down below there's a clamp that you also see like on the 010X scooters, really rigid. And a thing that is really different about the scooter is it's up to 150 kilograms, as they say in the manual, and the stem here is very tall. Like, it's really comfortable to stand up on the scooter, and naturally you can also make it higher or lower. I wish there be some, increments you could do it in instead of just like a free floating mechanism, but that's what you get here. And it starts to rain even more with snow. But we have to keep on reviewing. This is Wrong Way after all, and my name is Babushka. Nevertheless, in terms of ergonomics on the handlebar, which is pretty wide, we can see a mechanism for folding it, which makes it quite a bit more practical than a not folding handlebar, like so. You can fold both of them, but in all of these handlebars in this design, you do get a bit of shakeage after a while. They're not as stiff as a handlebar, for example, on the 10X, but that's what you have here. I think it's not easy also to exchange it, since this is like a proprietary mechanism, so that's what you get here. Probably just put some Teflon tape over these screws and they should stay rigid over the time. The grips are also quite nice, and here you can also see the brake levers, and the brakes are actually surprisingly nice. Like, these are 160 millimeter rotors, so much bigger than you usually get, and even though these are some no-name mechanical brakes, they're braking quite well. After a while you will need to adjust them though, since I think these cables became a bit loose, so I got a bit worse performance after a while. But dude, these brakes for mechanical brakes are awesome. Like, I was riding the Eagle Pro just recently, and I think that this has much better brakes than the Eagle Pro, and even like the 010X. These are pretty damn good brakes, I gotta tell you. So further on the handlebar we can see a key, which is really practical. You can see the voltage, now it's like 59, so a bit less than half. And here you can see the standard display, a bit cheap, but does the job. Essentially the same as on the 010X. Eco turbo button. Eco limits you to like around 25 or 30, and single dual motor turned on just the rear motor or both motors at the same time. Here's the other brake. So moving on to the ergonomics. The deck is big, really comfy. This thing in the back is sticking out a bit too much for me. It's not really comfortable to put the foot down here. You have to really just commit and put it on the kick rest, which is really nice. Then you have some additional grip because of this hook. But yeah, this hook is just sticking out a bit too much for my taste. And it connects to this hook here on the top, so you can just lift the scooter easily when it's folded. And even though you can fold the scooter, it's still pretty long at 1 meter, I think 30. So it's not the easiest one to put into a trunk. Moving on, the construction of this scooter is really nice. The comfort actually is surprisingly nice. Like, I was riding obviously the Dualtron X, I was riding the 010X, 011X, and this is just really, really comfy. Like, the funny thing is that it has not that much of travel, but the travel that it has is pretty soft. So for heavier riders, as they advertised before, the 150 kilograms, I don't know how it would perform, since I can bottom it out quite easily, and bottoming out suspension is not good, as you probably can imagine. But for my weight, which is around 80 kilograms with gear, it performs really, really nicely. I quite enjoy riding this scooter, and the geometry is also really nice. Like, you can even, I wouldn't advise doing it, but for a small bit, just let go of the handlebar with one hand, and it's still pretty maneuverable and predictable. So the suspension is really nice, the ride as well. However, there's one problem, since these are just regular springs here in the back and in the front. They do tend, especially the front wheel, tends to just bounce up and down. At certain speeds, and if you brake hard and you have your balance in the back, then you can lose grip with the front tire. So you have to sort of lean forwards when you brake with the front brake, but then you have to put the foot here, so you put it on a charge board, which sucks. And you obviously don't want to apply pressure on the handlebar, since it's really, really tall, and this applies a lot of forces here on the folding mechanism in this. So in terms of rigidity, it's fine as for now. I thought that this might be a bit thin, but seems to do the job well. Here you can see the swing arms are also pretty beefy, front and rear. All in all, looks pretty well thought out. I like the locking of the stem as well. No cables rubbing, just the brakes, as said, got a bit loose, the braking cables. And they also make a noise, but it's in all scooters. In terms of lighting, it has front and back lighting. However, the front lighting is nothing for, nighttime riding, and just makes you visible. However, they're, I think, a bit more stronger than what you usually get on scooters. And in the back, lights with brake lights. Also pretty bright, I gotta tell you. Really, I think you don't need anything else in terms of back lighting. Getting the TNE Creator V60, I was quite skeptical at first, because I've tried quite a bit of, a bit cheaper or lesser known Chinese scooters with various results, but I never really got such a pleasant and enjoyable experience yet. Of course, it has a couple downsides, like the bouncing of the front tire if you brake, and here just drivers don't care about green lights apparently. The mudguards aren't the best, but you get a lot of performance, you get nice tires. The suspension in my eyes is pretty nice. Some of you guys probably like a more rigid suspension like the Eagle Pro or a Thunder, because it's more sporty. I however like the comfort side more, so this is more trimmed towards my liking. And yeah, I gotta tell you, just enjoyable. That's what I have to say. In conclusion, this scooter is really nice. I really like it. It's more stable than a 010X. It will be cheaper than a VSETT 10 Plus. And if I had to choose amongst all of these scooters, then this would be just a hypothetical situation, because I would choose a EUC. But if you want my advice though, I think that TNE and the Creator series of scooters is a pretty cool choice if you want to get a scooter. So TNE, once again, they are looking for distributors across the world. So if you want to contact them, just check out the links below. You can also bulk buy scooters on Alibaba. So if you and some of your friends want to get like 5 scooters for a better price, then you can do that as well. But yeah, with that said, if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.